see. We're getting back on live on. Okay, great. Excellent. Excellent. Got to restart the StreamYard, but welcome everyone to Systems Lab Live. It's good to see you, Avery, Jason, and Tobias. How are you all doing tonight? We have such a great show here today. For all of you that are here for the second week, or really, yeah, this is the second week of November. Welcome, everyone. For those of you that are new here to the System Lab Live, we are here each and every single week. And what we do here is we discuss leading teams, managing projects, and developing processes. This is the only live stream for project leaders across the globe that can come every week and talk about the everyday work. We are in session 2 of the Next Gen Digital PM, an earlier series that we kicked off, and it was a short series that we kicked off in July that really broke down the critical elements that we are discussing and embodying of what it takes to be a next gen digital PM. So we focus on these 3 core tenets: leadership, strategy, and execution. Last week we talked about emotional intelligence as project leaders, being that we are facing so many different types of people and stakeholders, how it's so important that we as leaders, we stay level headed, we stay really locked in and keyed in on how it is that we can relate to our clients, our team members, our CEOs, those that we work with, and why we need to be tapped into who we are, knowing how to play to our strengths, knowing how to really be able to understand how people think. We also talked about what we should say and how we should say it, what are behind some of the actions, behaviors, and attitudes, and how all of that really does affect the project work. I believe that one of the things that we have to, I believe, be more diligent about each and every single day is an understanding of, number one, how we actually go about interacting with one another for the everyday work. Why is it so critical? Because we are in a day and age where there's a lot of mission critical work at hand. Lots of projects, lots of programs, initiatives are having lots of really complex scope. Okay. We are building things from scratch. And speaking of that, we are currently in the planning season for season 7 of the podcast, Built from Scratch. So I would have the opportunity on Saturday to record the first episode. Built from Scratch is an exciting season where we're diving all into what does it take to build robust projects, plans, and initiatives. You'll be hearing from myself. I have some really cool case studies to walk you through how to build a project from scratch. And then you'll be hearing some of my favorite people who are in event planning, who are in hosting summits, who are in the product space, other PMs, entrepreneurs, and such that have built businesses, products, and services from scratch. I believe that we have to really shine the light more and really put a spotlight on what does it take from the ideation to the execution. And so this is going to be a truly, truly an exciting time. I'll be interviewing my first person I'll be interviewing for the season in the next couple of days. So I'm excited to dive into that. Just in a reminder, reminder email where we are going to be kind of covering some of the topics and things. I used to, in my own process, when I first started the podcast, I used to feel like I needed a really serious outline, detailed beat by beat, like heavily scripted. I found that having a document, or I would have a flow to to the actual interview itself was very much helpful because I can be able to interject the questions that I want to ask. I have a general opening. I have almost like a we call a rising action. I kind of know where I want to land certain points and things, and so yes, it's going to be a really, really good interview. Very excited about uncovering those insights and things as well. Yeah, so really good information coming forth. I'm very much excited. I'll be scripting out the case study for episode. I guess you would call it the real episode one because I just did the the season explainer the podcast episode. It was about like 35 minutes, but that was good. So we'll go through that as well. I wanted to two things I said that we were going to do tonight. The title of tonight's live stream is called The Moving Target. The Moving Target. Absolutely, Avery. We have to do it. The Moving Target. So we're going to talk about moving deadlines, project schedules, some of the peaks and valleys and things of that nature. We're going to be talking about what does it mean to reschedule, deadlines, milestone dates, and things like that. And what are the best ways to do that? I think there is definitely a narrative or an opinion that if it's not pressing or if it's not gonna damage anything, just go ahead and push it back, push the deadline back. So I'm hearing that more and more. And I'm also hearing things of, hey, we're not ready. So we're just not ready. So I want to dive into more of that. What's the thinking behind that? What you should consider. But one thing that I want to do, I'll dive into pretty quickly, is we are also walking through the state of Slack report. Last week we talked about, work disrupted and what that really means in terms of the pandemic, but also post-pandemic culture, hybrid teams, globally distributed teams across countries, hybrid work, remote work. We talk a lot about async communication and synchronous communication. We're talking about this aspect where, Slack is really coming from the perspective, and they put out this, I guess, I don't know if you say thesis, but it's this question about when it comes to the efficiency aspect of it, the efficiency piece of it. Um, you know, how do we measure that? How do we measure that? And so they interviewed executives, project managers, contributors, middle managers, and the like to actually walk through the state of work. And so the chapter that we're going to get into, we're just going to highlight a few things, which is the productivity paradox. That's what we're going to be talking about here today. I will show you the article on here. Let's see. Is it a window? It is a window. We will talk about the productivity paradox. And so, oh, well, no, we went through. Oh, no. I got it. We are in chapter 2. Never mind, chapter 1, but chapter 2. But quickly, speaking on chapter 1, a brief overview of the productivity paradox. What they're talking about here is that, there's two opposing views in this chart, as you see here, is how do executives and they call like desk workers or individual contributors, how do they measure productivity? And so from an executive level, they're thinking about visible activities that they can see in front of them. They're talking about achieving KPIs and goals and then cost metrics. But if you're an individual contributor to a team, you're thinking for yourself when you're thinking about measuring productivity, you're measuring the amount of conversations you're having with your manager, achieving the KPIs and the goals. That means your tasks and the things that you're doing, your work and how that's going to achieve the company goals, and then hours spent on specific types of work. So it's some of it's the same, a couple things are different. From a executive level, the money factor is definitely going to be something that's going to be priority. How much is the work costing? Are we being effective with the resources that we have? Definitely the KPIs and the goals, because after all, whether it's OKR or yearly metrics, there is something to be said about how to measure the progress. And then visible activity, how visible are the level of activities and tasks. And then here, and like I said, it makes a lot of sense. Hours spent on specific types of work. If you're an individual contributor, yeah, I'm sure you are thinking to yourself, I've spent how many hours really on a particular task. So, why that's a factor. So in chapter 2, we're talking about what's in the way of productivity today. I think this is something that's so timely in the day and age of remote work, work from home, hybrid teams, and the conversation around, can you get more done at home, or do you need to come into the office? And the respondents said that those that say they're less productive today um, experience too many unnecessary meetings and emails, feel unsupported by their managers and disconnected from their colleagues, lack access to effective tools and technology, grapple with information silos and switching between disconnected apps. Those who are more productive today embrace flexible work, have a choice over the meetings they attend, leading to more focused sessions, saves time with automation, uses tools that enable transparency and access to historical knowledge, uses platforms that integrate all their tools and technologies in one place. So they're saying in this particular chart right here, 90 90% of those who feel productive today are more confident in their ability to hit their goals. 70% say their fewer meetings and emails would improve their productivity. So I think this is so super important. Of what they're highlighting is they're highlighting a couple things. I think the common factor is, number one, the choice of flexibility. Number two, I believe the other thing that should be noted is technology and being able to connect to information and people in a timely manner. And I think another factor that's invisible but yet visible is the cultural component to it. What is the culture that is being fostered among teams? How do leaders set that precedence for the particular work environment, whether it's remote, hybrid, or a globally distributed team? So keep that in mind when we think through, and when there are either requests or thoughts around how do we make our work more connected, how do we work more effectively, what tools do we need to be able to stay on top of the work at hand, and then how do we, which I think this is a really good one as well, which is access and transparency to historical knowledge. What's happening, Jason? And so this is really good to note too, because knowledge management is becoming a huge thing. We will absolutely be, diving into that. I'll look to see, when's a good month to dive into knowledge management. That may be more of a January type of topic that we tackle. Maybe we tackle that for the month. Just really looking at what is knowledge management. We talk a little bit more about how to kind of break that down, but that's something that teams need, companies, big, small, massive to super tiny, being able to start to put together what we call knowledge management bases. So the next thing that we have, okay, let me do it this way. Let's see, this little quote here. Let's see. The future of work calls for more collaborative approach between leaders and teams. And it says leaders in their reports will engage in dialogue and experiment to find out what approach will serve their individual organizations best, ultimately establishing clear objectives and goals while leaving the execution up to team level agreements. That will allow smaller units to do their best work. Now, something that we discussed, which is a super, super key word here. Let me zero in so you can see that. Team level agreements. I don't know if they have a little highlight thing right here, but I think this is worth highlighting right here. Oop, dismiss. Yeah, team level agreements. I think this is really, really important. We talked back in May, I believe, May or April, about a collaboration plan. Very similar play off of a communication plan. And I think that we can either add to a communications plan or, mix it together so it's all in one, because you really can have the collaboration without the communication piece. But this right here, having a collaboration plan, is very helpful, because what it does is that it really helps to guide the team on individual needs and then group needs. So it talks more so on the async communication, maybe the use of huddles, the use of using Miro boards for one-on-ones, or if you use Asana, being able to also use meeting management tools to effectively communicate and update on project statuses. So there's a way in which you have rules around when you meet, why you're meeting, and then who you're also pulling into those meetings as well. Something called a two-way sync. And this is a two-way sync doc that is a coined term. I don't know, forgot which company, but I know that Coda, which is a great a doc app where you can make a lot of information centralized, make it accessible. You could do a lot of really neat things within Coda. They have a template called two-way sync. So essentially what it is, it's a write-up of an idea, a proposal, and then there is a way which you set up the doc with tables, and people can have access to it. They can give their feedback in real time. What's cool about this is that they have not scheduled any meetings yet, so they're really allowing people to read and react to the document and take their time. They have even a little thing called a question bank, where you can add questions and things onto that as well. So I thought that was pretty cool. I thought that was really cool. Let's see. Um, okay, so next week we talk about the unlimited, or the week after, we talk about the unlimited but unmet potential of AI and automation. Okay, so we're going to talk about AI, and there should be, I'm going to be looking into a few different tools where we can maybe just have a good old time of a live stream on all things AI, automation, project tools. And I think it would be really cool to do that. Maybe even invite some people on. Maybe that's I think a really cool idea. Invite some other PMs on, and maybe we can talk in real time about AI tools and how we're using them. Okay, cool. All right, y'all. We are rolling. And then today, and I think this is going to be really, really good for us to talk with and think through. We had a lot of fun. I think the other day, or not really the other week rather, with using the iPad. That was really, really good. I think that we covered a lot of Now, I didn't mean to. I done escaped, y'all. I didn't even know where I went. That is too funny. I think I'm back in motion, y'all. Thank you guys for I was trying to bring something up and I was literally trying to bring something up and then I just left. I was like, uh-oh. All right, let me bring this up. I want to do a few live note-taking with you all, which is going to be really good. We're talking about moving targeted deadlines, like moving like a moving target, like a moving target. This is going to be really good because what I think is really interesting about this aspect of deadlines. Sorry about that. Let's see. I'm trying to put this in. Let me put this in 487. I think what's really trust. I think what's really interesting about, and I wrote this in my email. I wrote this in my email about the moving target. And what we talked about there was, how there was always a sense, especially pre-pandemic, where you had to meet the deadline. And this is also not to say that you shouldn't be trying to meet any deadlines at all. Absolutely not. But I think there is something to be said for being empowered to move deadlines when things such as different types of issues that may arise, different factors that come up, where you are able to get a better understanding of how you should go about the planning and the executing of the work. And oftentimes it may be that you need to be able to push a deadline back or two. What I'd love to know in the comments, as we're getting a bit settled in here, to kind of bring up the apps and whatnot. What I'd love to know from you all is when we talk about deadlines, who feels the pressure of it all, right? Who feels the pressure of the deadlines? I'd love to kind of know that. Like, does that happen often? Like, are you feeling like you are quite stressed? Are you quite stressed? No. Are we quite stressed about this? All right. I will open up this app so that we can write and talk. But this is something that we should be talking about. We should be talking about moving targets. Moving targets. So in the comments, if you're there, I'm just writing, y'all. Nobody's ignoring anybody. We're just writing, and then I'm going to be sharing thy screen, and then we'll be able to talk and chat a bit about deadlines. Let's do this, y'all. Okay, cool. Very excited. Okay. So tonight's topic, I want to talk about moving targets. And so one thing that we have to take into account when it's when we're talking about the moving of deadlines, I want to make it clear that number one, it is healthy to move deadlines. Number one, is it healthy to constantly move deadlines? No. if you're constantly moving deadlines, it means that there is some sort of unstructured approach to what you're doing. Point blank, period, right? So yes to moving deadlines when you have considered other factors. Okay. So what types of projects are we talking about so we can, sort of set the stage on this? This is anything from event planning to, hosting an event, in person, virtual, podcast launch. What else? Dropping a product or service. Let's see. Oh, a program. Launching a program. Yes, yes, yes. Launching a program. And we'll go with this type of case study. So let's do this. Let's map out the case study of moving targets, AKA, oops. Hmm. Okay, here we go. Okay. That was funny. I was chuckling at myself because, and I wonder if they have like a target symbol in here. I'm gonna see if they have one in here. Shout out to this freeform app. I'm kind of digging it. Uh-oh. Here we go. Oops. Okay. Here we are. Okay. So when we talk about this moving the target, the deadlines piece, let's talk through, and we're gonna get another color because I think it's fair. Let's do green, and let's talk through the case study. So I think what we'll go into, and oh, I did chose the wrong one. So the case study that we'll look at today is a program launch. Program launch. Okay. Okay. So this is a program launch for our case study tonight. So let's talk through what we kind of want to talk through. Okay. What we kind of want to talk through this. So I think one thing that is really important, and where did okay, here's my free form thing. Okay. Okay. I want to move it. Okay, great. All right, cool. I think we have everything that it's sharing. Let me reshare one more time. Share screen. I'm going to share a window. Let's share this one. Okay. And I want to move this back. Oh, I see what's happening. Oh, I didn't realize there was multiple ones. Okay. Can you let me do this? I am actually going to quit freeform. There we go. And then I'm going to quit Acrobat Reader as well. Don't save. Okay. Cool. Okay. And then we're going to open up backup freeform. Okay. And then we're going to open this up and present once again. Thank y'all for bearing with me. Moving targets. Okay. Okay, great. Okay, so in this program launch, let's talk about some beginning stages of this project work, right? So we want to talk about scope. So when we talk about scope, we're talking about like what what is the program about? Like you would need to know, like what this program is about, what the program is about. Another aspect is what am I gonna erase that? What about? Yeah, so we want to look at what the program launch, what it's about. What is the program? What is the program about? And what it's not about. That's one thing. Okay. And why this is important, because oftentimes, we are looking at trying to do our messaging. We're trying to create content around it. As Jerisha Hawk would say, your program promise. And I think it's important to stay within your scope. Stay within your scope. I think that just helps everybody around. What else is in this program, like the scope? We are going to talk to, this is going to be good. This is going to be good. We're going to talk about budget. We're also going to think through people. We're also going to think of like resources, like tech. Materials. Yeah, technology, hardware and software. Let's just put it out there. Hardware, software. Yeah. Key parts of the budget. So here's how, again, that's how you know what's in the scope and what is what it's about, and then what it's not about. And that helps to really determine budget, people, resources, tech, hardware, and software. Those are key. Those are key components to this whole thing as well. What else? What else can we think of? Put in the chat if there's certain things that you can think of. I think I think that piece is super super important as well. So yeah, let me know if you guys what y'all thinking about. What y'all thinking about? Okay. Okay. So this is good. We have some of these things together. What happens next, right? I think what happens next is, and I think this is where some more critical pieces come together. I think naturally someone would say, go ahead and develop your project schedule. But I want to also outline some other key factors of what goes into developing the scope, right? Key factors in developing scope. Okay. Key factors in developing scope. Okay, so one, vision. That's good, right? Developing the vision. One thing that we also did not talk about is requirements. Come on. And also feel free, because I have, if you, I forgot to put this on here, If you text, here's the thingy. Yeah, if you text PM Huddle to 626-722-544, you will also get a mini podcast series all on how to get started on your project. So, and I talk about some of these, like the 3 initial core elements, and that comes from my 9-point PM system. So, definitely tap in to that. Text PM Huddle to 626-722-5444. And let me put this in here so you guys can see this in focus. So key developments in developing scope is vision and requirements. So anytime you're developing a program, and let's just say, and let's just take it, let's say this is a entrepreneurship program that you are launching. A key thing is understanding the vision for it. What is the vision for the project that leads directly into the scope, directly into what's required, what's not required. And then another key factor too, I think this is so important. This is the who. This is the intended audience. These are the people, my friends, that you are serving. Okay, these are the people that you are serving. And I guess we can do it here. Who you are serving. We're gonna erase that so we can make it better and make it make sense. Okay, who you are serving. Okay, yeah. So vision, requirements, your intended audience, who you are serving. Okay, listen. You see how good this is, because we are not even in, developing even like the project schedule piece. So here's where it gets good, people. Here's where it gets really, really good. Okay. Here's where it gets really good. You have all this information. So the question is, what do we do now? We're developing this program. We want to do a couple things. We want to make sure that we have project strategy. Okay. So this gets into waterfall, agile-ish. What's the plan? How do we think critically and strategically about the way in which we should go about executing the work at hand? So this is a perfect opportunity where when we start to think about the work, we start to think about groupings of activities. And this is really where a lot of us, our project management hats, start to be used, because now we're starting to really think about the order and the sequence of the work, right? The order and the sequence of the work. If you are following me, make sure you put a 1 in the chat if you are following me on this particular case study. So yes, it is the groupings, the order of activity. So then when we go back to, and I think this is critical that we go back to red. So when we talk about project schedule, by this time, you have already done a few things. You have had the ID of tasks. Let's see. Milestone deadlines. And if this resonates with you, definitely put something in the chat. Milestone deadlines. Yeah, so you got milestone deadlines. What else? You got assigning tasks. So you have that. Now the cursive game is really just, I don't think that people can read this, Ashley. And I'm going to make sure to slide this up so that you guys can see it. Okay, here we go. All right. So let's do it this way. Let's do it softer. Assigning tasks. This is also where the resource allocation piece will come into play. And that's as the project is going on. But a few things that can impact, deadlines and things of that nature when we start talking about the project schedule. Some things that can happen, right? And let's just go up. I'm going to go up into some of our earlier points of what happens. Well, it could be a couple things. Right here, when we start to talk about some of these key factors, I just wanted to zero in on that. Okay, hold on. A couple things I wanted to do for when we talk about, all right, money. Talk about money. Okay. So that budget piece, okay, I think that is something that is super, super special. Meaning that the money will always be is a contributing factor into moving things ahead, or it's on time, or we're behind, and that you may have to shuffle some things around. Money, my friends, is most definitely a culprit in that. I think that's okay, right? Like I think for the most part, I think we are okay with having this understanding that the budget is a key factor in project deadlines, in rescheduling. Sometimes the money's just not there. Sometimes we want and we so desire to have the Ritz-Carlton experience with a Ritz cracker budget. That's not saying that is everyone. But what I'm saying is that oftentimes the aspect of building a really good budget, if you go back to the February live stream, that was fire. We talked about that almighty dollar, that mean green. And what we talked about with that is that we have to get an understanding of what do things cost, right? People. Sometimes there's not enough people. Sometimes there are people that, because you have hired contractors, they have other clients, they don't make you a priority. You understand? So people are going to be a contributing factor to you moving deadlines or moving some things around. Resources, it's materials, and then it's also, and I guess we should just put that too, because sometimes this isn't a bonus. Sometimes it's time, right? But the resources is another aspect to this as well. When we talk about moving deadlines and things of that nature, we talk about the resources, the tech, the materials, the hardware, the software, things like that. Other things, the actual vision itself. Sometimes that's not clear. Sometimes it changes, which then changes the scope. So I believe that it's not that, and the vision can change. I don't think there's a saying that you can't change the vision. I think that you have to be steadfast in getting the vision clear. Okay. So I think this is where this comes in. Okay. So it's about clear and having clarity around your vision, which then leads to you having better requirements. Okay. Hello. What else? And then I do believe this too is the aspect of, you know, who you're serving, who you're serving, who you're serving. So what do you do? What do you consider rather? What do you consider when it comes to moving around deadlines? What do you think? What y'all consider? What do you all consider? Hmm? Cost is one. So when this decision making comes, how much? How much? Who? Who's involved? And what does it take? I think another thing to consider as well when you're considering rescheduling deadlines, moving target, it's when. Now, if you decide that you're not picking back up, I think that just means that you have officially deaded the project. When? Yes, yes, you're going to move the deadline, but it's when. And then I like to also bring up this point of task dependency. What other tasks are dependent upon rescheduling a deadline or deadlines? Okay. I think another one too is, and I think this is also task dependency as well, but I think you can add impact. I think you can add that to there. What do you all think out there? What y'all think out there? Is that something that is making sense to y'all there? I hope so. Because I think the moving target discussion, I think is critical. Is critical to what we're looking to do, why we're looking to move it, and everything in between. So I'm hoping that this really gave you some perspective on what to do, and then being able to understand these different factors of the cost, of the who, the when, the task dependency. So when we want to tie it back to this case study for the program piece, you're grouping. I'm going to go back up to strategy and then project schedule, and then we'll wrap it back up. But when you're looking at this launch of this entrepreneurship program, you're defining the strategy based upon the scope, based upon the vision, right? And understanding, okay, what needs to happen first, second, and third. So there's a grouping of activities that takes place. The project schedule is so instrumental to, what's happening, is that it really is painting a picture. It's the you're IDing the tasks, excuse me. You're setting the deadlines and important milestone dates. You're assigning tasks. There's a resource allocation that comes, especially when there's multiple projects going on and trying to figure out who has capacity. Now, I flipped it in the inverse to be able to talk to you about what led you straight into this aspect of developing the project itself. Excuse me. Of what developed the project itself. And I took some of those same elements of what sort of got us to, getting the project on the right foot, to the moving targets piece, where now we see the reverse of it. Yes, you have a budget and you've created a budget and hopefully it's robust, but it can be the same reason why the deadline has to be moved, because there's not enough money, um, and whatnot. But the aspect of what to consider when moving: how much is it going to cost? Who's involved, and what does it take? When will this happen? What's the task dependency and the impact of it? Okay. Now, something in terms of other reasons, okay, I would say some other reasons and things of why you would have to reschedule deadlines. Some core reasons. One could be some external factors. I think it's important to know that sometimes it's really it's the outside. And that could be due to policy. So something I think that is of importance too, as well, is that the White House even just recently released AI policy. I think that's something that everybody should be reading, right? What are some external factors that affect that? So it's policy is one. There's some aspects to environmental factors, internal factors as well, and that could be team culture. Right? And it could be team, it could be processes or lack thereof. Plenty of factors, right? That you are forced to move a deadline, move something back. Happens all the time. So not only it could be from a policy perspective. I remember I was at a conference and there was someone who had to move it because there was a bigger concert in that same town. And so you got to think through what's going to be a deal breaker for you when it comes to, and what is the set criteria that you're going to establish yourself when it comes to this particular work of managing the schedules, moving target deadlines, and the like. So, my friends, that's all we got for today. I appreciate this is our second week, my friends, of folks. All right. So this is the second week of the Systems Lab Live. And yeah, this is the moving target. So hopefully you guys watch the replay, catch some notes and some things to be thinking about the next time that you are looking at moving deadlines and working on your project schedules. What are some of these key factors that you need to be thinking about when doing so? We will see you not next week. Happy Thanksgiving. We will see you the week after. And so that's it. And we'll talk soon. Bye-bye.